You won't believe what we're tackling today: hair loss. So no matter what your gender, losing your hair is pretty terrifying. I mean, look at the science. Hair loss, or alopecia, is not merely a cosmetic issue, but has significant medical and psychosocial implications. It's associated with various medical conditions and can profoundly affect individuals' qualities of life. So whether you wake up to more strands on your pillow or your hair it's not as thick as it used to be, this can be really stressful, and it's something that millions of people are dealing with. But do any of these so-called miracle cures actually work? Well, we're about to find out. Our hair says so much about us. Globally, the hair care industry was valued at a staggering $1.69 billion in 2024, and it's only growing. But despite all that spending, hair loss remains a major concern. As we age, diet, stress, hormones, environment, and genetics all take their toll, leaving many searching for a real solution. But with so many ads claiming baldness is a thing of the past, we had to ask, is there really a cure? Are these miracle results the real deal, or just clever marketing? And are some people just doomed to a life of suspiciously thick toupees? I hit the streets to find out. First up, London's world-famous Harley Street, home to some of the UK's top hair loss experts. I've arrived here at the private clinic on London's famous Harley Street to chat to hair expert Kelly Morrell. Hi, Kelly! Then Kelly gave some incredible insights, especially about DNA testing for hair loss. Imagine knowing exactly which treatments will work for you without wasting time and money on the wrong ones.
Yes, we do something called trichotest test, which is a genetic hair test. It's comprised of a simple swab of the inner cheeks. The samples then sent off to the lab, and it analyses 7 different receptor groups, 48 different genetic receptors based solely on hair loss. Can help determine what is the best course of action and course of treatment, and also long-term management for your specific type of hair loss.
That's really interesting, because I think many people assume that if a test shows they have a gene for hair loss, it's inevitable. But what Kelly's saying is that it's not always the case, and also the importance of having a professional consultation, not just self-diagnosing online with questionable treatments. Because let's not forget, there can be multiple causes of hair loss. As we mentioned, from stress, hormonal influences, nutritional deficiencies, environmental factors, autoimmune conditions, infections, the list goes on.
I have a gentleman that I've treated who did some research online, got a kind of a prescription in the post, and started using some topical medication, and it actually made his hair worse. And he's obviously spending a lot of time and money to kind of help correct that kind of the shock to the hair. And unfortunately, you can lose it like that, but getting it back takes a lot of time.
So, as we just heard, trying the wrong treatments can sometimes do more harm than good. But beyond the products people buy online, there are also some truly bizarre myths floating around about hair regrowth. But what about Kelly? Has she had any unusual stories?
I've heard quite a scary few. I do know a lady that was told to mix boil potato skins and pop the starchy sludge left in her hair, and yeah, there's all sorts of things.
I've put together the top 5 expert tips and key takeaways from all my guest interviews, and you can download them now using the links in the YouTube description. And if you want to dive deeper, you can watch the full interviews available right here on the It's a Jungle channel. From crocodile fat in ancient Egypt to electric shocks in Victorian times, history is full of bizarre hair loss remedies. And as Kelly told us, one person who came to her even tried rubbing potato skins on their head. But while some of these are just weird, others are downright messy. And it does highlight, though, that we will literally try anything that might help when it comes to our hair. Which brings us to this.
Hello, this is Seamus McGonagall here. My title really is Small Farmer Stroke Thrill Seeker, but I decided to diversify a little bit. So I noticed that a lot of people at the minute have been losing their hair, and hopefully what I have discovered and what we worked on for years will put an end to all that for people that are bald. Now you see this here. If you want to take a photograph of the stuff in the wheelbarrow, that is actually the raw material. That's the raw material that's needed for this project. Come on, get out of the van, Ray, will you? He can't be here all day making this thing. Them cows has to be milked and fed later on. Now, do you know what this is?
I have a fair idea.
Yeah, the way this works is, I'll put this on your head, okay?
Excuse me, Doctor, are you free to see Raymondo?
Yes, certainly. Please bring him in. Thank you.
This way, please.
Good to see you again. It's been what, 6 months since we...
6 months.
Are you a single man, do you mind me asking you?
Not anymore. Thank you, Doctor.
You're
You've
very
changed my
welcome.
life.
Look, I love a good home remedy as much as the next person, but let's get back to the science. Next, I took a trip to Miami to talk to Chris Leon from Capillus about an FDA-cleared technology that's helping people regrow hair using light therapy. Now, if you're like me, you might be wondering, how does shining a laser on your head actually make hair grow? Well, Chris gave a really fascinating analogy that puts it all into perspective.
The way it works and the way light therapy works with red light therapy is that the parts of your cell that make energy, the mitochondria, right, taking back to third grade there,
thank you.
they make what's called ATP, which is what your body burns and uses as energy. When your car uses gas, our bodies use ATP. So what happens is as you get older sometimes, you get a little more tired, things get a little more run down. But what happens is the mitochondria also produce less energy than they used to in their youthful state. With red light therapy, the mitochondria contain sites on them called chromatophores, which they absorb light. And one of these sites happens to be right at that little microscopic engine that makes energy. Looks like a little windmill that turns, actually looks like a little gear. And it stretches the ADP molecule and adds another phosphate on there, and that's a high energy bond. So since it absorbs light at that place, it makes the mitochondria work more efficiently. That way you could get an older cell that now all of a sudden has energy levels as it did when it was much more youthful.
Isn't that incredible? It's all about boosting energy production at the cellular level. The lasers help your mitochondria, the tiny powerhouses of your cells, work better, which in turn helps your hair follicles stay active and healthy. But wait a minute, we're talking about hair loss. How does it actually happen? What's going on beneath the surface that causes hair to thin or disappear? Well, Chris Leon breaks it down for us right here.
But as part of this process, because androgenic alopecia is considered a disease since it is an aging process, your hair follicles get miniaturized. They kind of start shrinking, and the hair they make gets smaller. So if you take a microscope on my scalp right now, you'll see a bunch of tiny little baby peach fuzz hairs. Those used to be thick, full, long hairs. Right? But as you get older, like I said, they deminiaturize, and then eventually that hair follicle will die, and then they'll just produce nothing at all. So the whole turning back the clock thing, since it gives the cells more energy, and it helps with microcirculation to also bring more blood, over to the hair follicles, what ends up happening is it reverses the process of the miniaturization.
Now here's something really fascinating. Some people using the Capillus laser cap aren't just regrowing hair, they're actually seeing their natural hair colour return. How is that possible? Chris explains.
But every once in a while, if you use the cap and you have gray hair, which at my age I certainly do, sometimes in some people, some hair follicles will repigment. So
in our language, that means like, as in you get your hair color
they're back.
Right?
Exactly.
So let's break it down. Red light therapy can actually reverse hair thinning by making hair follicle cells behave like their younger, healthier selves. And the best part, it's drug-free, so no side effects, and works for both men and women. But like all treatments, consistency of use is the key. But what if you've already lost much of your hair? What if you need something more permanent? Well, that's where hair transplants come in. But beware, not all transplants are created equal. To separate fact from fiction, I spoke to world-renowned hair transplant surgeon Dr. Luca De Fazio. Is hair transplant surgery generally permanent?
Yes, absolutely, because the hair transplants, during the hair transplants, we relieve the hair from the back and sides. In this area, the hair don't have the receptor for the androgenic hormone, and is not sensitive to the DHA, the hydrotestosterone, and then is permanent. We move the hair from the back and the side and reimplant in the baldness area of life.
Amazing. And can I ask you, obviously in the context of if you're going to a good surgeon and you've done your research, is hair transplant surgery generally safe in that context?
Yes, it's very safe because the side effects possible is just swelling after 2-3 days after the procedure, because this type of the inflammation is one retard inflammation, and in the second, third days after the procedure we can have just swelling in the front when we implant the hair in the hairline area. This problem, for example, is don't exist during the restoration of the crown, for example. But generally, after the procedure, we use the steroids in vein and continues the therapy after 5 days after the procedure to control the swelling. But if the patient, the 3-5% of the patient have a swelling after the procedure, but it's not painful, is not dangerous for the results of the hair transplant.
Gone are the days of long, painful recoveries. Thanks to modern techniques, hair transplants are now smoother, faster, and way more comfortable for patients. And get this, full recovery can happen in as little as 2 to 3 months. Dr. Luca explains how.
Yes, I set up this therapy maybe 3 years ago, and when we able to stop every type of loss, honestly, and in 2-3 months we have just results in terms of the density and the regrowth.
Hair loss isn't just about appearance. It can have a deep psychological impact. Many people struggle with confidence, self-esteem, and even anxiety because of it. Dr. Luca sees this firsthand and explains how restoring hair can restore more than just looks. It can restore a person's confidence and well-being. Let's hear what he has to say.
9% of a patient tell me his life changed because it's normal, because if the patient hear the necessity to change the look is before is because is now accepted the baldness on his face, and 90% of patient give me this sensation. Yeah,
it's amazing.
in in the our website, we have the possibility to leave the message on the clinic, and 90% of a patient write, "Thank you for changing my life, doctor." It is a very, very impressive, because we resolve a psychological problem with a surgery. It's a magic.
It is magic.
It's magic.
It is magic. That really puts things into perspective. Hair transplant isn't just a cosmetic procedure, it's something that can help people feel like themselves again. It's fascinating to think about the emotional side of this kind of surgery and not just the technical side. But as Kelly and Dr. Luca have warned us, you need to do your research. Cheap transplants can lead to disastrous results. Ethical surgeons will always prioritise long-term success over quick fixes. So what have we learned today? Well, hair loss is complicated, but real solutions exist. DNA testing, laser caps and transplants are changing the game. But if someone swears cow dung is the answer, maybe just smile and back away. But if you want even more expert insights, you can watch the full interviews on my YouTube channel. Want to take the guesswork out of hair loss? I've got you covered. Check out the top tips and takeaways guide with all the expert advice from today's show. It's totally free and packed with useful info and available right now. Just click the link in the description. So that's it for this episode, junglers. Hit subscribe for more and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. So until next time, remember, it's a jungle out there.